So I said I wasn't going to do a video today because I'm going to take a break, but that's not going to happen because some of these interesting memories from the 90s are flooding back as far as my young adulthood and getting back into contact with some of my old junior high school friends I hadn't seen in a long time. And so I remember a girlfriend of mine, she's a real good friend that I had in Miller Junior High. And she ended up going to UC Santa Cruz for her undergrad, and I forget what she did for her graduate, but I know she ended up in the military in the chemical warfare department. So I remember her being written about, or some article about her back in the day. And now she has like 11 kids and she's like Mormon. But back then, I remember her. We talked. I was in Lafayette or in Walnut Creek, California, or Lafayette, one of the two. And we were on the phone and we were catching up because I hadn't talked to her for like a few years, and she was telling me about her classes and then her exploring her sexuality at UC Santa Cruz. And she was like telling me, yeah, everyone could be everyone could be LGBT. Everyone could be LGBT. And I'm just like, oh, really? She's like, yeah, even you. I mean, you could be, this and that, right? And I'm just like, whoa. So she was just giving me whatever it was that she was telling me. And I was just like, totally. And I was like in my 20s, and I'm just like, getting a secondhand information from something that some class or whatever it was that she was exploring at the UC system at UC Santa Cruz. She had me really question my identity. And so if that could happen, if someone could have you question your identity like over the phone and you're in your 20s, right? And this is way back in the 90s, so I'm sure a lot of things were different back then too. But it's like the UC system is grooming in a lot of ways a lot of different identities. Okay? A lot of different identities. And I don't know why. My guess is when I watch the movies and I see the Hollywood stars, that are ending up on the Epstein logs, and then they're always talking about going to a university. Oh, she's going to a really good college like NYU, or she's going to this really good college, Stanford, or Berkeley, or all these different colleges. It's like it's being pounded in the heads of the parents that the only way to be successful in this world is to go to a UC or any kind of high level college, Ivy League, or even state or community college, so you can take part in this agenda, which it seems like it's an indirect, but it's pretty direct, in changing society's way of expressing themselves at a biological level to where some people get gratification from it. That's probably the only way I could say it in the most diplomatic form, because right now I'm kind of, I'm on the verb. I'm teetering. Uh, I'm I'm almost crossing the line right now, but I don't want to. So anyways, so the video or that YouTube video that I posted on my Facebook with that troll with the little buttons on the different parts and everything, that like yeah, that reminds me in a lot of ways of when we learned when we were kids, or young kids, how to make a baby. There was this book called Where Did I Come From? Some of you may have known about it back in the 70s and the 80s, but that book was circulating a lot back then. And you might even see it like on Amazon as a book that's available. But that was introduced to us back when we were kids. Okay? So, and my parents are both highly educated. So the UC system, the college system, really, oh my God, it's very scary how deep this goes. Very, very scary how insidious this is. And I'm looking at the parents on my Facebook that are just like, holy shit. And they're like, they don't even want to send their kids to public school. They don't want to send even their kids to private school because you have no idea who you're putting your kid, what hands you're putting your kids into. That's the scary thing. And so the parents that are able to afford to homeschool, they're going to protect their kids. The parents that are doing the diligence are going to protect their kids. The parents that can't afford to put their kids in homeschool or have it be homeschooled, or, you know, yeah, it's like they're giving their kids up to the state to be molded. And that's when you're seeing all these Facebook memes about what some of these teachers in grade school are teaching their children, you know, whether it's sex ed, or I remember taking sex ed in junior, or what is it, in elementary school, middle school, elementary school. And it's like, wow. And I think only one person didn't go to our sex ed class. And so it's like, it's so accepted. It's so accepted. And I remember, you know, as a kid, like, oh yeah, you should teach your kids how, you know, younger, when I was in my 20s, thinking like it was okay to teach because, yeah, these kids need to know how to do this stuff. No, they don't. But that's why they get pregnant. And I think that's the reason why we learn this stuff, because, but, you know, I mean, I still had sex in my 20s. No, I didn't have it in my teens, but whatever. And so I don't know if I was an experiment for that. If you teach kids stuff at a young age, it'll stop them from getting pregnant. But I think it does the actual opposite. Because I'm trying to figure out what exactly all the different experiments my mother did upon my sister and I, and what was the intention behind them. Because it just trips me the hell out just watching everything unfold, and watching how comfortable the public school system and how comfortable these toy makers are with expressing all this sexual stuff for young children to everybody. I mean, it's like people say, "Oh, it's normal. It's normal." I'm like, not when you have sexual deviancy out there. Not when you have people that are preying upon each other, doing things that are so horrible in sexual. No, no, no. There is something inherently going wrong with whatever they're doing in the UC system. And these people in the UC system, as well as all the different colleges, they are aging and degrading. And when you're aging and degrading, and you also, the body wants to mitigate extinction, and so reproduction is at the first and foremost, well, yeah, it stands to reason why they're researching and doing experiments on how the body, you know, responds to this and this and that. And it's like, holy crap. And so, I mean, you know, in the psychology, Freud said he didn't have sex until, or he didn't have sex after 40, but everything's about, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, it runs so deep. And if you look at Freud's background, everything was about sexuality with him. Everything was seen through the lens of sexuality with Freud. So, you guys, you know, I'm just trying to process everything. I'm trying to process 2020. We're seeing now bombings like in Beirut, like we did back in the 80s. It's like I'm freaking experiencing my childhood all over again right now, in the media, in what's going on with the wars. We have a Republican president like we did back in the 80s. We had Ronald Reagan, right? I mean, it feels like I'm in a freaking time loop, in a time warp. And you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. I mean, you wanna cry, but you can't, because you're laughing at just the absurdity of it all. It's so absurd that I can't even get mad. Like, I'm not mad at my parents. I'm not even, I mean, I'm not gonna talk to my mom anymore, but I'm not even mad. I'm just like, I'm like so shocked, but I'm not shocked in submission and shocked in speechless. I'm just like, I just feel like this world is so surreal. You know, it's just so surreal. And so, you know, the more that you know what is going on, because there's no way you're gonna bring even if you get victimized, which I hope none of you ever do get victimized, but even if you get victimized and you try to bring that person to justice, and my mother told me, you know, if when you wanna, you don't always have to necessarily bring in the abuser or whoever, because we talked about something where people are trying to take their abusers to court or something. She's like, you don't always need to get complete and be healed by involving your abuser. And I'm thinking, like, am I programmed to say this? That I don't want to, you know. No, but when you really think about it, there really is no amount of justice, really, when you think about it. But then also, too, you know, you're rehashing everything, right? If you're going to take it to court. And then you're putting, you know, your like horror, your terror, your pain to be judged by, you know, 12 or 11 different jurors, or, you know, or a judge who may also have the same proclivities, who will then do a slap on the wrist. And then you're like, what the fuck? What did I just go through for the last 6 months? And then all the person got was a slap on the wrist or a fine of like $100. I mean, that's the thing that why you really must understand Julie Juice. Because I'm gonna tell you, if I don't think if I hadn't done Julie Juice, I don't think all of my shit would have come out. I don't think all of my crap would have come out as far as my childhood. I know I would have known about it. I mean, it would have been acknowledged, but I would have it be manifesting through health issues. Okay. Um, and so the fact that Julie Juice really brought, I mean, you saw the succession of Julie Juice where it went from all my bodily issues that are with all the imbalances to then finally like the spirit, and then finally all of the stuff from all the way like from the most recent imbalances and biochemical imbalances all the way to the oldest, like the oldest from way back. It's like watching like tree rings, okay? And that's what Dilly Juice does. It goes from the most surface stuff that you guys know about that are most recent. And then if you really had some stuff in your childhood, like really, or whatever issues or whatever addictions you had in your childhood or in your teens or whatever, and it's been an ongoing thing, it's going to come up for you. Okay? And so if I can be any indicator, let you know that, yeah, it's going to come up for you, and at least the JGs will help you process it and then release it. And so it doesn't control you. It doesn't make you want to be a vigilante. It doesn't run you. And so that's kind of the hope that I want to give to those that have been abused out there by people that they trust, as well as by anyone in authority. But I'm telling you, the UC system is probably the most dangerous system. Any college out there is probably the most dangerous place to put your kids in. The most dangerous place. Because yes, if my friend back when I was 20 was trying to have me question my identity, where I felt my identity was being questioned, or they were like I was questioning my own identity just by what she's telling me, then I can only imagine what these kids that are in school right now being taught. I can only imagine what these college students, when they're going to college, what they're being taught to do in their adulthood, what they will allow as far as crossing boundaries. I'm very concerned. I swear. But what can I do? I can only shout the warnings out because there is no justice with any of this. The dinosaurs that are out there that are running the system, the dinosaurs in the UC system, the dinosaurs that are the professors that are teaching your kids, the teachers, they have to die off. They have to be like, and I know some of them are going to pass their mentality on to their offspring. You know that's going to happen too. But you hope that one day that genetic line will definitely die off. Okay? And so that's probably what you're seeing is like the last hurrah. I mean, you're like, well, what the hell? How long is it going to be for them? Well, I'm telling you, the Jilly Juice is going to give us a glimpse of hope for the future. Because if I can deal with all that I've been figuring out for the last week or so, without completely just being an emotional wreck. But let me tell you, I've been thinking about this stuff. One, like, I feel like it's so surreal. I can't even put it's like, what the hell? What the hell? Okay. But if I could deal with this and not be an emotional wreck, not agonize, not freak out, not be like, oh my God, I want justice. Oh my God, go do a press conference or something. No, I mean, fuck. You know how many stories out there that are just like mine on different levels? I mean, how many peers did my mom have back in the 80s that she was working with? How many people did she collaborate with? They were doing the same thing that she was doing. There's probably so many people back at San Jose State back in the 80s that were doing these experiments on the children, on their own children, as well as the foster system, the foster children system, because that's one of the biggest agencies out there in California that she was involved with, was the foster children system. And so you don't know how widespread this is. And I'm telling you, the Bay Area, California, there's a reason why I won't go back there now. I mean, I know why I left California, why I tried to run from California so many times. That place is dangerous. That place is dangerous for anyone that is impressionable, that's imbalanced, that's easily moldable, and and it's almost like I've pretty much lost like all of my family to that whole system. So because I know that, you know, my sisters, one of them, you know, that they're all going to put their kids through college and all that. And these kids are going to be taught the most craziest stuff based upon whatever mentality at the time. And you can only imagine what else is going to be rolled out with these kids that are going to be taught these horrific things, and the kind of boundaries they're going to cross with children. I mean, already yesterday when I had that picture of that child with the eyes blacked out, and I blacked out the eyes or whited out the eyes because no one needs to know who this kid is. It was an ad I got from Facebook, but it's no one's business who that child is. And so I blotted out the eyes. It only kept the face and the hair and the background. And I'm telling you, the response that I got from that, where they said that this is child abuse with the kid with the mask. I mean, you could, like, people were outing themselves left and right. They were outing themselves. They were so comfortable. Now, I know some of you are single moms. Some of you said, I'm a single mom. I really have no choice. I'm on the J Juice, which is her saving grace. And I understand that. And she really came from a very, you know, authentic place. I get it. Some of you have no choice, okay, in the matter. You're a single mom and this is all you have. And then some of them were so comfortable. Yeah, they were laughing. They're so comfortable that the only way that they can say that they were comfortable with their kid doing that and being that and whatever is to attack my protocol. And they've been on my Facebook. I block them, but they've been accessing my page for however many, you know, years, or since I started that page, that business page. And the ones, my trolls, when they were responding to that specific post, it told me exactly who I'm dealing with. Okay, as far as those that don't like Jilly Juice, as far as those that are willing to cross boundaries with people, the bullies. So if you're willing to cross boundaries with bullying somebody and saying how I'm scamming people and doing this and doing that when there's no substantiation, I've already been vetted out by the FBI. Obviously, I'm not doing anything wrong. But yet, when you're still bullying somebody, despite all the evidence that says that you really shouldn't be doing that, what kind of lines are you going to cross with your children? What kind of lines are you going to cross with other people's children? What exactly are you doing in your life that allows you to feel that you have the license to cross boundaries with people, with adults as well as children? That's what's scary. Is people are very comfortable with showing their cards. And I'm just like, holy crap. That's the world that we live in. And you have to know this. You can't assume people out there are relatively, I mean, yeah, some of you have no choice because you are working parents. You have to rely on somebody to help watch your kids. And you hope that you have friends that you've known for a while that you're okay with, and hey, do what you got to do. But when you give your kids to a public system where there are staff and teachers that have never really been vetted out correctly, and I'm telling you that the school system, childcare, the school system, anything to do with children and whatever, attract pedophiles. They attract people that want to prey on your kids. And then when the kids are groomed to feel comfortable with whatever, they're not going to realize how much danger they're in. And then, yeah, when you have the mask on your face and then the kid, you can't even see what the kid looks like, and they get taken away and kidnapped and you're seeing it before your very eyes. And the only description you can give to the police is, oh yeah, they're wearing blue shorts and a black shirt. You know how easy it is to change a kid's clothes, but you can't even give the features to the police? He had dark hair. That was it. How many kids have dark hair? That's what's scary. The people that are allowing and are okay with having their kids wear masks. But I understand if you can't afford because you're a single mom, all right. But I'm telling you, man, it's a dangerous world out there for a child as well as for some adults. You know, when I'm kind of glad the bars are closed because, yeah, I mean, we have young adults, beautiful women that are in their 20s that just don't realize how dangerous it is out there with human trafficking. And they're out there wearing their cute little outfits, which, okay, good for you. You're cute. You have a nice little body. But you don't realize that some people are targeting these cute girls to be used as sex slaves overseas. And so when you're drinking alcohol and doing all your drugs, you don't realize to how much danger you're in. You see these kids, you see people come to missing all the time. Oh, this 20-year-old, this mom is missing, this 20-year-old's missing, and I'm looking at their Facebook, and wow, they're showing off all their wares and on Facebook, and they're, I mean, it's almost like Facebook is an advertisement as a target for people with nefarious intentions. So you've got to realize that we live right now in a very dangerous place, and you have to know your society. You have to know, first of all, that the UC system and any of these college systems are going to groom your children into being very cavalier with their body, mind, and spirit, with very little boundaries. And then when you're faced with something that you should be knowing that you're in danger and you don't realize the danger that you're in, you're going to be an easy victim. That's the thing about the UC system, college, as well as these grooming techniques with these toys, and then with public school. It's crazy. Oh my God. And so, I could substantiate this because I dealt with this back in my younger years, being also groomed to be okay with people crossing boundaries. Okay, so if your own parents can cross boundaries with you, then imagine what you'd let a stranger do to you. Okay, that's what's so dangerous, and that's what you're seeing, and that's what's being taught in public school. That's what's being taught in your community with this masks. That's what's being taught to these teachers. Okay, I'm telling you, it's a different world out there. So if you can afford to homeschool, and some of you are very lucky that you have the ability to homeschool, you have a church and a group of people that you can help your kids get socialized. You're very, very lucky. Those of you that don't have that and you're indigent, you're poor, and you're relying only on the system, those are what the system is using to mold and use and throw away at some point. And then with all the vaccines and with the viruses and with all the prescription drugs and the antibody, promotion, oh God, poor kids don't stand a chance. Even the rich kids don't stand a chance if they're under major mind control from their parents who are doing experiments on their own children. Okay, so it's those that are middle class, that have some kind of freedom of being able to be at home and teaching their children, who belong to a church group or belong to a group of people, not even a church group, a group of people that have the same like minds. Okay, and you know what? So what's even better is if all of you did Jilly Juice, because at least you know what you're dealing with Jilly Juice. If people in your community are doing Jilly Juice, you know that at some point there's going to be a good balance, and that's going to be your little community, your safe little community that you know about, that you can see that, okay, they're going through their stuff and they're going to come out balanced relatively if they stay on it. But I'm telling you, anyone else out there, it's a crapshoot. And it sucks that we have to think that way, but you realize that when you think when you trust somebody, and you think, that you're in this sane world, in the safe world, and you find out that you're not, that whatever you thought was safe and sane was exactly the extreme opposite. Now you're like, oh, now you're fucked up, Julie. Now you're not going to trust anything. Well, you know what? I would rather vet somebody out and keep a distance and figure out if there's a chemistry that's aligned than assume that they are this, and that, and then find out that they're not. So I'd rather somebody be more paranoid than just assume everyone is safe and think that it's okay. And if you teach your kids that everyone's safe, it's okay, don't be paranoid, then my God, that kid's going to be a victim like quicker than you could say boo. Okay, so I'm just, I'm tripping. I'm just tripping. So yeah. So anyways, so if this isn't any kind of testimony for the Jilly Juice, some of you can relate to me. Some of you are like, okay, yeah, I see it. And what tied it all together was the fact that what I experienced in my childhood, that is actually now a reality today. It's what I experienced in my childhood is what you guys are experiencing right now. And that is probably the most surrealist thing that I could even, it's like, I feel like I'm in a freaking movie. Okay? It's like, but then with the J Juice, you have the presence of mind to see the connections. And when you know that everything is connected, it doesn't become surprising. Yeah, it's a little shocking that, oh my God, but it doesn't surprise you really anymore because everything is connected. Okay? The people that reject certain things, they don't want to look at it. I rejected the human trafficking for a while. Like I just didn't like to see all of that. I mean, I don't like to focus too much on all the horrible stuff because I'm trying to focus on healing. But at some point, we're going to have to see how it's all connected with the university system, with the school system, with the prescription drugs, with the doctors. I mean, some of you are like focusing on human trafficking, but yet you're still seeing doctors. See, that's where I was like getting kind of weirded out by some of you on my Facebook that are focusing on human trafficking, but you're still seeing doctors, you're still taking prescription drugs, you still trust the system, but then you're like, dude, human trafficking, it's in all levels of like CPS and foster system, as well as the presidents and all these different government officials, but yet you're still going to your doctor and getting these specific procedures done to you. Okay? And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So, so I rejected the whole human trafficking. I didn't want to even really look at it, and the whole pedophilia stuff, I didn't want to deal with it. But then when you vehemently reject something, it's because you're dealing with something inside around that. And finally, when I faced that and realized, holy crap, what I've dealt with as a child, and then how that's connected with everything else, and I'm like, holy crap. So now I could actually say the word pedophile. Holy crap. Okay, I could actually say understand that human trafficking, it's all connected with people who are crossing boundaries with humans and children. They're grooming you guys to be these, take your energy, I guess. They say about adrenochrome and all that. I mean, like, I don't even want to think about that too. I think Michael Gifford was talking about adrenochrome and how the elite seem to look younger. But I mean, it's a drug. Like anything, when you take drugs that only last so long, no different than doing Botox and plastic surgery. Eventually you're going to hit the wall one day, you're going to look like shit. And then you're going to have to hide from the public view, right? Which some of these stars, they used to be out there in the public view, and now you don't see them anymore. You know why? Because the adrenochrome or whatever else is worn off. So anyway, be careful of those that are rejecting J-Juice because, and are talking smack about it and crossing boundaries, And that's what I'm saying is that those that are comfortable with bullying people and crossing boundaries and really just finding ways to be vigilantes when they have no business doing that, most likely don't have boundaries themselves. And they cross boundaries in other areas. And those are the scary people, like Dr. Phil. He's crossed boundaries and allowed others to cross boundaries and creating the space for others to cross boundaries. Okay? All of those that were attacking me are very comfortable with crossing somebody's boundaries. That ought to tell you who you're dealing with in our society and how prevalent pedophilia is, how prevalent sexual deviancy is, and how prevalent crimes against children and humanity are when you can see people crossing boundaries left and right. Okay? And yeah, so just be aware when you see people who laugh at my stuff and you see people who are bullying me or anyone else, you know exactly what they have dealt with and what they're probably going to do at some point when given the opportunity. And that is a scary thing. Okay? So, if anything, let my Facebook page be like a window to the world, and then you can see what runs people, and then you can see the indicators, and then you can see the types of people that respond to me and their predilections and what they probably practice. And you can see how they respond to my information. Okay? And you'll know kind of who the ones that are very sketchy. When someone is very comfortable with putting their kid in a mask and they don't question it, if they feel that their back's against the wall, well, I understand that, and they're willing to say whatever, fine. But if they are laughing at the information that this is child abuse, if they are making fun of the information regarding, what the government is doing with these children, then they're part of all of that. They are part of the architects. They are part of the ones that keep this in place. And that is scary, and you have to know who these people are. And they are outing themselves on my Facebook right now as we speak. They are outing themselves. So you'll know they're part of your everyday people. They have children. The people that are okay with crossing boundaries with children have children. That's the scary thing. Okay? So just be aware, be observant, understand when people respond in certain ways, they are divulging, they are basically showing their cards. They are showing their cards, who they are, what they believe in, and that's all the information you need to know. You don't need to convince them. Otherwise, you just know who they are and you stay away from them. You don't even interact with them because there's really no point. So if I can just be any kind of warning to you guys about what our society has turned into at this point because of the educational system, do the jilly juice. Find some peace and find some hope somewhere because you got to have it. The next 30, 40 years are going to be crazy. And you're already seeing the uptick. Buckle up, bitches. It's going to be a bumpy ride. All right, bye.